Yes, a deep breath and we are on. Hello, everybody, and
Hello.
welcome to another session of Ask the Experts. Today, we are going to have a very special and probably unusual session. Just need to make sure everybody is watching my screen. Now you are, because today I'm gonna dedicate the Ask the Experts to a success case we had in MyHeritage, and that is the Clare Reay case, or at least that is how we name her. My name, Daniel Horowitz, the expert genealogist of MyHeritage, and joining very much doing virtual lectures now, but I used to do also in person, and I hope very soon we can go back to that. Dedicated to genealogy since 1986, I had the opportunity to be the teacher and study guide editor of a family history project called Searching for My Roots. That was back in Venezuela, where I was born and grew up. That's why I have this funny accent. Today, living in Israel, I'm involved with the Israel Genealogy Research Association to do digitization and transcriptions projects. So without further ado, no, before announcements, let's go to the presentation. And this presentation, and I will share all these links with you in the chat in just a few moments. It's based on a success case of MyHeritage. And I'm going to start practically by the end, because obviously, if I am showing you this, is because two people did a DNA test, and guess what? They match. So you already know the end of the story, but believe me, the interesting thing is how all this started. And it started in MyHeritage, at least with Dena, which is the one here with the glasses, calling the support department and asking about the results of the DNA. She really couldn't understand what the results were saying, and it was not clear why she had a DNA match of a niece in England. And while they were talking, and we have support people in the different specialities, and in this case, this was our DNA person over there. He was explaining her that that this is actually totally possible and definitely a case. And then Dena is telling the story to this support rep, and we're starting to understand what's going on here and why this is so important. So now let me share with you the story and how Jean also here in the image it's related to all this. So Dena and Jean had a mother called Dora. Dora and her, let's say, daughter, because yeah, it was her daughter, Eve, were captured by the Nazis in Poland during World War II. We're talking about early 40s. And they were both transported to Auschwitz, which is the biggest concentration camp on the war history, and extermination camp, actually. After they arrived very shortly, they were separated, and Eve had 2 years old only, and they never saw each other again. Okay. Of course, that 2-year-old baby in Auschwitz in an extermination camp, very small chances to survive, of course. But Dora did survive for sure, and she always kept and tried to look for the daughter, because she actually never heard that um, that Eve died or what happened actually with Eve. So Dora went to Europe. She does research. She tries to find orphanages in Germany, assuming that the kid uh, was saved somehow. And she always had a feeling that her daughter is still alive. But it was impossible to find anything. Everything is a dead wall, pretty much like any of our other research that we can be doing in any of our families. And of course, this devastated Dora during all her life. Gina and Dena became quite convinced that Eva never survived. After all, in a little bit of statistics, from 1.3 million people that was sent to Auschwitz, 1.1 million were actually murdered. So the possibilities really of Eva, a 2-year-old baby, to survive were really, really small. Now, going on, MyHeritage researchers, of course, immediately come into the help of Dena, and Dena send some material and some documents that she has from her mother. In this case, for example, this is the concentration camp release. And if you're not familiar with this kind of documents, this is kind of like a passport, and it has 4 pages. The pages are exactly the same, but they're in 4 different languages. So any person, any government that will see this document will understand that this is a person that actually survived the concentration camps in Upper Austria, as it says over there in the right side. And people will offer help to those survivors and will understand a little bit more about them. So we have here the date that Dora was born and her maiden name and where she was. And although it's not mentioned here, she actually was in Auschwitz. And then, although it says Majdanek, which is another concentration camp, she passed through Majdanek. And a note here for whoever is researching Holocaust records and Holocaust survivors, documents not always could be 100% reliable. Now, we also had Dora's passport after the end of the war. We're talking about 48 to 49, as you can see in the image. And this is a temporary password that allow her actually to travel not only inside the US, but also outside as well. And we found Dora and what it seems to be the new family in a ship manifest. This is actually the USS General Taylor, General H. Taylor. And this was found in the Arolsen archive, which is, again, one of the biggest or the biggest repository for records from or after World War II, not necessarily Jewish. And here we can see Dora and we can see Regina and Leba and Malkadina, and they all have different pieces of information. So analyzing that together with the manifest list of the USS General H. Taylor passengers list, so we can see here Leba, Dora, Regina, and Malkadina, we could understand a little bit of what's happening. Let me go very briefly about this, and we have here some glossaries to understand the different columns, but more important than that is that we understand that Leba, although the name may not sound very male, in Europe or Polish, that it's actually a very male name. So he must be Dora's husband, born in 1919. Dora was born in Poland in 27. She was a metal worker, which is not strange also in Europe. Regina was born in 47. Dena, which actually appears with the Hebrew name Malkadina, in one word, but it's actually Malka and Dena. Malka in Hebrew means queen. So Queen Dena or Queen Dana. She was born in Austria in 48. As you can see, this is after the war. This is already after Eva is out of the picture here. The family decided to go to the US, probably a very good opportunity they had after the war. And they actually have an address, meaning that they had to know somebody in Canton, Ohio, because that is the address that they gave as the address going to. There's also a case number, and we could go beyond that, and we could get a little bit more of documents, and you will see what's happening at the end. Now, in 1996, unfortunately, Dora dies of a brain tumor. All her life, she tried to find her daughter Eve, and just before she is like sick and in bed, she asked Dena and Jean, please, to take this further and keep researching her daughter, or the sister of Dina's sister, and try to find her. And they actually stand to that promise. Okay, they go to the Red Cross, they go to every archive possible, they go everywhere, and they keep searching for Eve, and there is no trace of this girl. So they decide, of course, at this point, to do a DNA test, right? Because if she is out there, and if they are sisters, they definitely should be matching the DNA. And very soon, very fast, we go back to the beginning. Dena and Jean have a niece in England, according to the DNA. Of as any other person, of course, they said, no, must be a mistake. If you think this is a mistake, why you do a DNA test? And if you do a DNA test, why you don't trust the DNA test? But, they were kind of in shock, and they talked with MyHeritage, and then they realized that this has to be a relative of them, a niece, meaning the daughter of Eve. In the meantime, MyHeritage already has 2 hands and 2 feet into the case. We try to find out what happened with Eve. We try to find out what is with this niece, and we try to put all the pieces together. And we found out that Eve actually survived the Holocaust. She was rescued by a couple, not clear yet why and how, but they realized that this kid was a Jewish kid, and they had the opportunity to send the Jewish kid to Israel. After all, they thought, thanks God, that she will be better taken care over there. And she actually lived here in Israel in an orphanage for 8 years. Now, interestingly for Eve, the Holocaust stole almost everything in her life, but her name. And this was very important because for those of you who are not familiar with Hebrew, this is actually the immigration record. And right here in line number 9, we can see the name of Chava, or Eve. So the child came into Israel with her own name, and actually she was assigned, let's call it like that, to a set of parents that were coming from Europe, and that was one of the ways of allowing kids to immigrate into Israel. So we managed to find this. And here in Israel, after all those 8 years, Claire was adopted by a couple, by a family who moved to England. But of course, they didn't know anything about Eve and about her life. And she always thought that she was alone in this world. She was a survivor of the Holocaust, and nothing, of course, was very clear for her. She thought that she was really an orphan and no other relative out there. Uh, she had a few attempts to try to find more family, but of course, again, we all know how difficult this or was to do research, and everything was a dead end. And in 2014, Eva died. Eva died never knowing that she had family out there, that blood relative that were actually looking for her. Now, her daughter, Claire, received this DNA test as a gift. You know, Christmas, New Year's, why not? Let's give it the gift. And funny enough, if it can be funny, they did that for the ethnicity. Okay. No matches, no looking for family, just, like most of the people out there, let's see what our DNA says is my ancestor's origin. Because again, remember, the mother was an orphan and never knew her family. Now, you already know this end of the story. So all what you're missing is the part that up till today, very unfortunately, they have not physically met. What you're seeing here is actually the blog post that MyHeritage did together with the Today show in the US, where because of the corona and the COVID and the pandemic that we're suffering, they had to have this meeting virtually. And they, of course, exchange photographs and histories, and they are very, very happy and just waiting for the exact and proper time that they could fly one to the other and reunite physically with those two families. So I wanted to bring this, especially today being about going to celebrate in the US at least Halloween. South America is Dia de los Muertos. Just to remind everyone that I think it's great that those two souls, although they passed away and in life they met very briefly when the Eve was only 2 years old and Dora was in Auschwitz. At the end, we all believe that their souls knew that their descendants found each other, and there is always hope, and there always should be hope for you to break your brick walls. Now, as always, you can start writing your questions related to this and any other that you may have. I already put all the URLs in the chat for you to enter. Definitely in the blog post, you will find the video done by the Today Show, and you will be able to see the video call with the meeting or virtual meeting. Now we are more than used to do virtual meetings. Just make sure you have a lot of Kleenex next to the computer when you see that. Quick reminders, the mixed style partnership that MyHeritage has and allows you to print, or for you or for other family members, beautiful images that you have in MyHeritage, either before or after you have colorized and enhanced them. It's the perfect gift, or almost the perfect gift for these holidays. The perfect gift will actually come a little bit further down the line. I cannot say more. Reminder about the latest collections that we released, the Norwegian Records Church Record Collection, same as the Wales Records Collection, Birth, Marriages, and Death, two of the biggest projects we had lately. And yes, today is 29th of October. So today starts all the free access to death records, not only from the United States, but from all the world. All you need to do is to go to myheritage.com/Halloween. Even if you don't celebrate it, at least enjoy free records for your research until November the 2nd. So plenty to do all this weekend. After the weekend or after you did your research over there, you're more than welcome to go to Family Tree webinars, where we have another new great webinar for MyHeritage. This time we had James Tanner giving a wonderful presentation how to take advantage of MyHeritage. And of course, I would love to see you all during the next times. I promise to be 1 p.m. sharp from now on, no matter where, no matter when. November, you already knew the program. December, we're going to have only 2 meetings because, of course, I love genealogy and I will be doing genealogy, but I'm not going to put you through the Christmas or New Year painful hearing me even in a 30-minute lecture. Any other? Please go ahead to the URL, register. You only need 1 registration and you will be registered for all year long. And I hope that you are also receiving the reminders that I'm finding how to send a day before. I just need to make sure I am on time. Finally, the knowledge base. If you still want to learn more about MyHeritage, if you want to become better genealogists, there's no better way to go into the knowledge base, where you have a lot of totally free record, I'm sorry, recordings, download materials, articles, anything that you need, and definitely no registration is needed. Whatever is there, it's free for you and everybody to take advantage. Okay, let me see your questions, and let me also allow you as well to unmute your microphone, because that is the advantage of having these sessions this way. I don't see any questions here, but thank you for being here. Yes, I hear somebody that wants to intervene. Come on, yes. Who's there?
How do you do heritage, like looking up your ancestors from Native American Indians?
Okay, Mary. That is definitely a good question. I'm very happy I don't have Native American ancestors, because yes, that's a tough one. I have to admit, almost as tough as Black slave ancestors. Um, I would say that probably DNA will be your best shot. I do know that there are some projects out there in the US to try to either index records or have some census done in the Native American tribes, but I'm really not familiar with that. I will suggest you, though, to do as my son always suggests me. So why not pass the knowledge? Go to Google and try to find genealogy groups that will be dedicated into Native Americans. And also it will depends the area. And I do know that there's difference between Sioux, Navajos, east and west part of the US. And hopefully those people will be more able to help you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, my pleasure, and my pleasure also to bring this and all the other stories and all the nice experience that we are having. And I really hope that this open your minds and try to point you into other directions. Anyone has any other question? Yes, Dorothy, I see you waving
Yes.
there. Go ahead.
Yes, my grandfather on my mother's side was taken from Germany to Canada when he was 7 years old, and he would have been born like in the 1840s. Is there any way that there'd be immigration records from Germany to Canada in that period?
I'm pretty sure there is. I will even try to find the birth certificate if you don't have it in Germany,
know.
and that may give
His name
you.
was just John Fisher's all I know.
Okay.
I think it was John G. Fisher, and I don't know what his father's name. And he had a brother, Joe. That's all I know about him.
I don't think those will be like the original German names. Okay. But definitely, yes, in Canada, I do know that there are very good immigration records. There is the National Archive of Canada and the National Library of Canada also. They hold all those records. I don't know or have the URLs, but I'm pretty sure they do have websites that they can just help you through email. The other thing I will do is I will try to contact the Ontario Genealogical Society.
It was in Ontario that they were.
Well,
that they were
I imagine, yes, that all the
Yeah,
immigration
well, I know
coming
that my
from Europe
grandmother was born in
will go
Europe.
to Ontario.
My
And
grandmother, who was part Indian, was born in Canada, and that's where she was born, in Ontario.
okay, so again, a wonderful genealogy society. I had a lot of contact with them. I'm pretty sure that if you send them an email, they will be also more than happy to help you. Okay.
What address would I send it to?
Just Google in your computer Ontario Genealogical Society. I think it's actually ogs.org.ca. I will just
OGS.
guess.
OGS.
Yes, ogs.org.
Yeah.
.ca, Canada.
Okay.
I'm guessing, but I guess it's a good guess. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Keep us posted, Dorothy. And Sandy is suggesting, I think it was Margie, if I'm not mistaken, for Native American, Roberta Estes blog. It seems that has a lot of very good information there. That's DNA Explained. And if you go to the chat, you will see the URL right there. Okay, Sandy, yes. Hello.
Roberta specializes in Native American and DNA tracing and getting down to the finest detail, but she has a lot of information and resources that she lists on her blog too.
Okay, so there you go. And she's a very
Is there
good
an
friend.
email?
No, website DNAexplained.com.
Thank you.
And she's a very good friend. So whenever you reach to her, just say, yeah, Sandy and Daniel sends you regards. Right, Sandy? Is that good with you?
Oh,
Not a
sure.
problem there.
No problem.
Her name
Definitely,
is
Mary, you can mention my name with no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have time for one more question, maybe. Let's see, anybody else? Questions going once?
Well, can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Well, I have a grandmother that her mother was 50% Apache. And I know this is Native American. I'm trying to find out her parents' name, my great-grandparents. I know her husband and I didn't know my grandparents at all. I was very young when they both passed. And I'm just trying to find out for my mom. Actually, my mom's the last one out of 11 kids. So I'm just trying to find out for my mom, the information about her family.
Mary, is your mom alive? Let's start by that.
Yes, it is. Yes, she is. I mean,
okay. Did you a DNA test?
Yes, I did for her.
Okay, so that's the first thing. Now,
Okay.
again,
I know.
You can even go into the Facebook and just type a question over there in below this video, and hopefully somebody that is hearing this video will be able to answer you over there. Listen, the only thing I can tell you is don't believe everything you hear.
Oh, I
And
know.
okay. And good luck. And we also have here Dorothy, the right address for the Ontario Society is ogs.on.ca. Okay. So thank you, Margie, for that. William, I see that you want to talk.
Yes, thank you. I'm wondering how we access the links that you mentioned.
Oh, they're right here in the chat, and you can go there and just select all of them and copy paste them. And I'm going to put them also in the Facebook page right below the video. So you will be able to go there as well and copy it from there as well.
Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Dorothy, very fast, because my wife, no, actually, no, my wife is not waiting for me for about an hour, another hour. 1 second, Dorothy, you need to unmute. Yes, go ahead.
I didn't get that second address that you gave me.
Sure. That is, 1 second, ogs.on.
.on instead of OG.
Yes, .ca. ogs.on as Ontario, CA as in Canada.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. No, thank you. Thank you all for being here live with me in the session or in the recording in Facebook. I hope this has been useful for your research. And again, I look forward to see you next week at 1 p.m. New York time, as sharp as I can be. In the meantime, take advantage this weekend of the death records that are free on MyHeritage, and that's a perfect reason to do a little bit more of genealogy. Goodbye, everybody, and have a wonderful weekend.
Goodbye.